Good morning, friends. Lately, I've been feeling a little nostalgic, and I spoke to one of my sisters recently and just asked her to help me like brainstorm a list of foods because I wanted to make a fun video where I just show you like how I used to eat when I was younger. Now, these aren't going to be Korean recipes. I'm going to save those for a later video. If you don't already know, my mom was Korean. Growing up, I did eat a lot of Korean food. She was cooking all the time. The other half of the food was primarily fast food like McDonald's, lots of processed stuff, the standard American diet, lots of junk. And I definitely wasn't vegan. It's kind of fun to me to look back on those foods and some of the stuff I was eating, I was like, why was I eating that? That's like so nasty to think about now. But today I'm going to recreate those dishes and then veganize them, of course. Oh, my back is killing me from yoga. And before I get to breakfast, I just want you to know that this video is sponsored by Skillshare. But yeah, later in the video, I'll talk to you about the cooking class I took. It was a lot of fun, and I'm going to be using those recipes in later videos. When I was growing up, my breakfast of choice was something that we called hot cheese buns. It's a hot dog bun with nacho cheese on it. So like you toast the bread, and then you slather on this nacho cheese. In my opinion, it wasn't real cheese. It was just some cheese sauce, but it was spicy. That's why I liked it. And if we didn't have hot dog buns, sometimes we would have croissants. Like there were these Sara Lee croissants you could buy frozen, and you just thaw them out and toast them. And then we would be dipping the croissants into the cheese. My mom was working at a gas station at one point. I wanted a hot dog with nacho cheese, but I didn't want the hot dog. So I just got the cheese on the bread, and then that just started this thing where that was my breakfast. That is what I'm going to make for breakfast today. I wanted to make my own nacho cheese, so I'm using a recipe from Connoissaurus Veg. Someone tell me how to pronounce that. So I'll post a link to a recipe in the video description if you want to make it yourself. But yeah, this bread totally has like a fake smell. Kuba is out practicing his electric guitar that he built. He's in the van right now. I think he's filming a video talking about how he built that guitar. So you can check his channel if you're curious. Place it in the cover with water, okay? Oh yeah, check out this shirt. Got it from Vinted. It's like, what are the odds of me finding someone selling a used University of Georgia shirt in Poland? That's where I went to school, by the way. Are you my rainbow pig? All right, so while the potatoes are simmering, I'm going to just get everything else ready. We're basically just going to blend everything together. So I'm going to put everything else into a large bowl, and then we'll be good to go. Love lemon. The recipe calls for coconut milk, but I already have the soy milk open, so I'm going to use that instead. Nooch, my favorite. 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, okay. Yeah, when I'm watching like cooking videos, I don't get how people can estimate liquids. I can estimate like a teaspoon, tablespoon, but like when it comes to liquids, I cannot do that. What else do I need? Garlic powder. Now my breath's gonna reek for the rest of the day. And some salt too. So all we need now is a sweet potato. How's that going? And now I'm just going to blend everything together. Let's taste it. It needs to be spicier. Much better. Yeah. This cheese is pretty chunky. And I can't remember if I would like apply the cheese and then put it back in the oven. It just looks like a floppy bread. That's good. I can't see me wanting to have this for breakfast again, but it does taste good. I'm just not into the whole like hot dog buns anymore. But the flavor of the cheese, it's not as like fatty as the nacho cheese in a can, but it's good. The flavor is there. So 10-10 would make the cheese again. Not sure I would make the hot cheese buns, but I would have it with some pasta, like a spicy mac and cheese. I'm also going to have some orange juice with my breakfast because growing up I'd always have orange juice. It's so weird to be like tasting the flavors, you know? It's almost like, what was I thinking? It is very garlicky. A lot of garlic for my breakfast. Kuba also made me a smoothie, which is not something I would eat when I was in high school. I also wanted to make this video because the way I eat now is completely different from how I used to eat. Like, my diet isn't perfect, obviously, but I feel like I'm much healthier now. I feel better. I have more energy. Even though I'm going to be 37 this year, I still feel like I'm in better shape mentally and physically than I was when I was much younger. And I do think it's because of the food I'm eating. That helps a lot. So a typical lunch that I would have in high school, if I wasn't having lunch at school, if I brought my own lunch, it'd be something like a turkey sandwich with Doritos in it. These happen to be vegan. Some Doritos will have like milk powder in the seasoning, but this one's a vegan one. And then I'd have something like a little pudding cup, a fruit roll-up. It's like a healthier version. And then, of course, Diet Coke. I was thinking of the Diet Coke can that's silver. So I guess it's pretty much the same. But I did eat a lot of the meals at school. There was like a hot lunch program. A lot of them were like fast food type options. But we weren't allowed to leave school to go get lunch. We had to stay in the building. And then of course they had like vending machines and stuff so you could have a bunch of snacks and junk food. For my sandwich today, I'm just going to use the smoked tofu because it's kind of like smoked turkey. And I even remember when we would go to Subway, we would get like the kids' meal, which was just like a small round turkey sandwich. And I would seriously just get just the turkey on there. And then it was only later in life that I started having like veggies on my sandwiches. And I remember in high school too, like it was seen as uncool to bring your own lunch. You were supposed to like buy the food there and like eat junk food to be cool. It's like weird what kids come up with, like what determines what's cool and what isn't cool. This isn't as authentic because I'm using a baguette. It's like showing that you have money. That's one thing. That you have money to go up and buy these things. So you're kind of flexing even at a young age. Yeah. Versus like bringing a brown bag lunch.
You're probably right.
You know? It's like kids are learning that young that you have to flex like that. Ooh, these smell good already. That also makes me think of daycare. And they would serve us dessert. It would be vanilla pudding with little chocolate chips. And I was like, whoa, this is a good combo. Never forget. Schlimak is snail? Is schleim like slime or something? Yeah, no, this is just like fruit puree flattened out into a thing. Oh, there was like fruit by the foot and gushers. I remember those. I think they would come like 10 in a pack or maybe 9 in a pack. But my sisters and I, we would just split them into 3 groups, or 3 of us, and then just eat them all right away. So like the box wouldn't last more than like a couple minutes because we would just eat them all at once. Yeah, Doritos in a sandwich is it like adds a crunchiness, you know? 10 out of 10. And I know this pudding's going to be good because I've had it before. Yep, amazing. This doesn't really taste like the fruit roll-up that I remember. Well, that's because this actually has fruit in it. This tastes more like a jam. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people. Explore new skills, deepen existing passions, and get lost in creativity. Maybe you think Skillshare only offers classes in like productivity and like photography, filmmaking, stuff like that, but they do have other lifestyle classes on yoga, cooking, interior design, fun stuff like that, so there's seriously something for everyone. I recently completed The Creative Kitchen, Simple Sauces to Elevate Every Meal by Khalees. I knew Khalees as a singer because of her Milkshake song from the early 2000s. Well, did you know she also went to culinary school and now she's a chef? So cool, right? I know next to nothing about making savory sauces like gravies and salad dressings because I only worked as a pastry chef before. Now that I've taken her class, I'm confident that I can create my own, and she even included downloadable PDFs of her recipes, so I can't wait to try them, especially her jerk sauce and her gravy. Skillshare is curated specifically for learning, meaning there are no ads, and they're always launching new premium classes, so you can stay focused and follow wherever your creativity takes you. And it's less than $10 a month with an annual subscription. The first 1,000 of my subscribers to click the link in the description will get a free trial of premium membership, so you can explore your creativity. This does taste like real Coca-Cola. I don't hate it. Alright, for dinner, I'm going to make hamburger helper. If you don't know what hamburger helper is, that's great because it's disgusting. It's like a one-pot meal in a box. So it's a box of noodles, a seasoning pack. So what you're supposed to do is add meat and maybe milk or some other liquid to the seasoning pack, and then you cook all the noodles in that. I think the vegan version will taste much better because we're not using ground beef, we're not using a nasty seasoning pack. So this recipe is another carnivorous veg recipe. connoisseurist veg. You get the idea. I've never used this before, but it does look like ground beef. My only complaint so far is that this package is like half full. Yeah, it's primarily soy and some seasonings. First thing is to get your seasonings in order. Her recipe calls for sweet paprika and chili powder. I just have paprika and cayenne, so maybe I can make it spicy. We've slowly been ramping up our spiciness tolerance lately, like putting jalapenos and everything, gochujang and sriracha. Her recipe calls for a, what do you call it? A little stock cube crushed up, but I'm gonna use this instead. Veggie broth powder, so I'll put in a tablespoon of that. This stuff is so good because you can add it to ramen, just throw it into any sauce and it just adds a nice veggie flavor. This isn't really necessary to do, you just get all the dry stuff in order, but once I start cooking, I don't like to have to think about what I need to grab next. And I've never cooked this recipe before, so I wanna make sure everything is like good to go, cooking show style. And then you don't forget anything. Pig. I know onion sounds like apple, but it's definitely not an apple. It definitely smells way better than ground beef. Yay! It actually has like seasoning. So we're just gonna add the onion and the mince. I feel like I could have made this recipe with like tofu or lentils too, but I wanted it to be like as close to the hamburger helper as possible. I remember cooking with ground beef before. You would cook it and so much fat would be coming out of the meat. It was so disgusting. Because like we would have tacos and stuff with ground beef and it's just like, ugh. Where you'd be eating it and the oil would be like dripping down my hands. Oh yeah, if I ever get around to doing the Korean version of this video, I can use this to make the yakimandu, the deep fried dumpling thingies. But I don't know when that video is gonna happen. Yeah, because the problem with the Korean food version is that I can't get all those ingredients. And our kitchen setup right now, we don't have like an oven. So we need to wait a little bit. And some of those things are fried where it's like, I don't really know if I want to be frying stuff. It is kind of a weird smell too because the soy milk, this is no added sugars, but it still reminds me of like cereal. Yeah, the milk is kind of strange. Yeah, she says to put the seasonings in at the end. I normally would just throw them in there right away. I want to see if it... Does it matter? I don't know. I don't really remember having like family dinners often, like where all of us would be there eating together. Definitely on the holidays, like Thanksgiving and Christmas, then the whole family would be together. But during the week, that like just didn't happen, which is not a problem because we were all doing our own thing anyways and our schedules were all different. That's one of the reasons why like I might eat something like this that's easy to cook, or I would just go to McDonald's or something and get food. Or leftovers, because like my mom always had leftovers. Like there was always rice ready, no matter the time of day. One of the rice cookers had rice ready to go. Thick. Looks gross, don't worry. Oh, I forgot one thing. The nooch. And I've never cooked this recipe before, so I want to make sure everything is like good to go. And then you don't forget anything. Wow, good thing I caught that. That would suck. Like something's missing. Because I have to watch the pasta, you know? Yeah, it's not done at all. This is why recipes are just guidelines, because anything can make it like not work out the way it was written. The size of the thing, how like how hot it is, stuff like that. The only risk is that it's gonna be more watery, but I don't care. The true hamburger helper is like super thick. I was gonna say, do you know what I mean? But you don't know what I mean. Pig gets very pushy when it's approaching her dinner walk time because she gets food after. We need to go on time, if not earlier. We're almost done, Pig. Aw, she's like, let's go! Her recipe says red wine vinegar. I'm just gonna use apple cider vinegar, because we don't have the red wine vinegar. And then we're just gonna cook this for another minute. It looks better. Yeah, the noodles aren't completely done, but I'm gonna let it rest now, and it'll just keep cooking. So this definitely looks like hamburger helper. 100%. The noodles do look more al dente than I'm used to. Ooh, nice. This is a new pepper grinder. I guess my main problem with this is the noodles. They're not done enough, in my opinion. But I definitely like the mince. It's actually really nice. The seasoning is good. I think to make this more realistic to like the actual hamburger helper, it would need to be like way more salty. So I'm kind of glad it's not like that. My thumb always looks so weird in photos. Does everyone feel weird about their thumb when they're taking food photos? Or is it just me?
I don't know. Your thumb definitely looks normal.
But yeah, I would definitely make this again. Just like cook the noodles more. Is there a rainbow on my face?
Yes.